Welcome on in everyone to NJ.com. As we had a big report yesterday on Josh McKenzie, the phenom athlete, 15 years old. Now he's at Bergen Catholic, and his story, it is unique, and it was a great one written by our very own Matt Stanmyre. So he's going to join us here, and we're going to be chatting about Josh McKenzie, the entire saga of covering him for the past year and kind of where this goes now. So if you guys have any questions, send them in. We're on Periscope doing this. And as well, we're here with you on NJ.com. So if you have any questions, please send them in. We'll talk about them during the course of this chat. Matt, happy to do this with you, and quite a ride here, man. Over a year, 15 months, you said, covering this story of Josh McKenzie. So tell us, where this started, the super athlete that we all know about now after reading your story. How did this come about to get this story and to start doing this?
I think it all started from an idea. I was talking to a source one day, and he said that we were talking about the idea of investing for college scholarships down the road, and that actually some parents were spending a lot of money on training and coaching and traveling all over the place, but when you think about it, you're potentially saving hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line if you do get a Division I college scholarship. So the idea kind of was planted in my head then, and we just started canvassing. We started asking around. I started talking to different people and putting some messages out there to see if we could find like an athlete who was perfect to tell the story through. Someone from associated with Josh reached out to us, and he just turned out to be the perfect kid because not only his talent and his skills, but the desire and the drive that he also has. So it was just it was a great marriage. Yeah,
he's unique. I mean, if you read the story, if you haven't yet, it's going to be in the Star Ledger coming up, but it's also on NJ.com right now. It's been on the homepage for a couple of days. Josh McKenzie is unique. I mean, I played high school sports. We've seen a lot of really good high school athletes in New Jersey that have gone on to become professionals, but I don't know if we've ever seen anyone quite to the level of Josh. I mean, we're talking about a kid here who's well above his peers, and someone who trains religiously, something like I've never read about before at that age. So, I mean, take us into that. Take us into who Josh McKenzie is, now at 15 at Bergen Catholic, but you followed him as he went through 8th grade for the second time, right?
Right. That was the start of the year. I mean, Josh, to be clear, was a really dominant athlete from the very, very beginning. I mean, when he was playing flag football when he was 5, 6, 7 years old, he was running circles around kids. So really from the beginning, he had this natural ability. And I think that's what sparked the idea, and his uncle, Bill Green, who's his legal guardian, kind of gave him the idea that, wow, he might be able to really do something with sports because he was a natural from the start. And then as things evolved from there, that's when the training started going in. Once they realized how much Josh enjoyed playing sports and exercising and all that stuff, that's when things just started ramping up. But he's a good kid, he's a good student, he's very polite, well-mannered, and it seems like he has a bright future ahead of him from what people say.
Oh, it certainly does. And he's in high school now, and we'll see how his career plays out. But you mentioned a student there. He's a good student. I think one of the big questions about this story in particular with Josh McKenzie that a lot of our commenters were referencing right away when they read your piece was the fact that he repeated the 8th grade, but not because of academic reasons that he needed to. This was a choice by him and his guardian, his Uncle Bill.
Right. And it was something we started the reporting in June of 2014. It was something Bill was thinking about and Josh was thinking about at the time, and then they finally made the decision to retain him for another year. It was, athletics had the biggest role in the decision to do that.
And they called it a business decision, right?
They did. And the thing that I think is crazy right now is that this is happening all over the country and all over New Jersey. I mean, I think more people than we even realize are repeating the 8th grade with athletics in mind. It's one of the biggest trends that we're seeing out there. It's something that I reported on 2 years ago, and every year you just hear that it's growing. We talked to one coach who estimated that 50% of the state champion wrestlers from this past year repeated the 8th grade. And one of the interesting things in our story was when we were in Orlando for the National Football Tournament, the team that crushed Josh's team and gave them their first loss of the season had 12 players that were repeating the 8th grade. So it's
an incredible number.
The ball is rolling, and this is something that's happening. But yeah, it was a big part of what the game plan for Bill and Josh, and you got to kind of say that it worked out. I mean, he got bigger, stronger, faster, and really positioned himself to do well at Bergen Catholic, where he's at right now.
How about Josh mentally? I mean, I think some of the comments and just some of the natural reaction to this is, how does this affect a kid? I mean, he's a kid here, but he's training and really thinking more like an adult. And there was one picture, if you maybe a third of the way down the piece on NJ.com, where he's sitting on a bench with the other, 8th graders. And a lot of it's because he's just bigger and stronger, but it's also he's a year older. He looks like a young adult, and they look like little kids. I mean, you were around him for a year. Is he I guess the word is normal, but just the way he interacts with people, does he come off as your normal 15-year-old kid, or is this a lot for him considering all that's on his plate?
I think what struck me is like how savvy he was with me, because a kid at that age, we started when he was 14 and then 15, it just seemed like he always knew what to say and never said anything controversial and was a little bit closed off. Very, very polite, but it was almost like when you're in the NFL locker room and Bill O'Brien has instructed his team to not say anything controversial. It was kind of like that talking to Josh, and it struck me because it's a very, not every kid is that wise from the beginning. I would say the school part repeating, I mean, I thought that was really fascinating. Me and Josh talked a lot about it because he did say that it was awkward. He didn't know anyone at his new school, and that was one of the harder parts of this whole project and this whole year. But again, he would remind himself when he was having bad days that it's just 1 year and that soon he's going to be moving on to another school. He's going to have friends and peers that are more like him to hang out with. And he would tell himself on those days where things got kind of hard. So he really did look at it as a business decision. I don't think that he loved the social aspect of it, but it was something he felt like he had to deal with to best position himself for success.
How much of this and the business plan, as it was referred to in the story, do you think, is this Josh's vision? Is this his idea? I mean, he's a young kid. I mean, I understand a lot of kids that make it to become professional athletes know it from the time they're 13, 14, this is what I want to do. Did you get the sense that this is Josh McKenzie, or as his uncle here played a major role? And you could say it's positive or negative, and we're getting that reaction from both sides, but how much of this, in your opinion, being around them, has been his uncle saying, this is what we're going to do, compared to Josh saying, this is what I want to do? I know his high school decision was a big part of the whole story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we have one line in the story where we say Bill is kind of the mad scientist behind the man-child, and I think Bill was, he makes a lot of decisions, but he makes them with the best interests of Josh in mind. And I think it's clear to point out that if Josh didn't want to do something, Bill would not force him to. I mean, there's really a unique bond there. They really care a lot about each other. Josh wrote a really touching post about Bill on Father's Day this year on Facebook. So I think Bill kind of steers Josh like most parents, and Josh goes along with a lot of it, but Josh wants to be this incredible athlete. He wants to be the best athlete to ever go to Bergen Catholic or ever play football. He wants to go pro. Those are the things that Josh says he wants to do, and Bill is kind of providing him the tools to do that. I think it's a little bit of both.
Right. So we're talking here, Matt Stanmyre, he was working on our piece, did a great job about Josh McKenzie, who's now at Bergen Catholic, 15 years old, and really the engineering of a great young athlete. And Matt, I think one of the things that stands out to people as they read it and just look at some of the pictures of Josh is he does not look like a 15-year-old kid. He looks like he's 16, 17, 18 years old in terms of physicality and size. And in there he talked about his supplements he takes every day, the workouts he does, and the 10 trainers he has. And also, I think he charts every single thing he eats in his iPhone, which is just an amazing discipline for a kid that young. With that, I mean, take us through his workouts. Take us through the trainers and what you found out there, because you were there for some of it. Because he doesn't train like a normal 15-year-old athlete,
or even older for that. Right. I mean, when me and Andy Mills, my colleague on the project, would go to these facilities to watch Josh work out, and I'm trying to document everything and write it down, and I almost don't know how to describe it because I've never seen anything like it. Usually, when you go to a gym, someone has weights and they're doing curls or bench presses or squats or something, and Josh would have ropes tied on him or resistance bands.
And the mask he had, right?
The mask, yeah, that was his own. Some of his trainers didn't like that he wore that, but that was his idea. But it was almost hard to describe these exercises he were doing. They looked very futuristic to me. But the trainers, the 10 people that he worked with, I mean, they weren't all trainers. One was a mindset coach, so they were working more on the mental aspects of sports and everything. And then a nutritionist, and he would work on and off with the different guys over the course of the year. Sometimes he would be more heavier with one trainer than the next. But it was definitely an intense routine. The diet, he was not always as on top of the diet as I think Bill wanted him to be, but towards the end of the year he really started documenting everything because he knew he really needed to bulk up to get in time to get to Bergen Catholic.
The one thing that is, I guess, still something he's working on, there was the pictures in there of him trying to, I guess the best way to put it is stretch out, is Josh is not that tall. For, sometimes greater athletes are very tall, and big and strong. He's not that yet. He hasn't, I guess, found his growth spurt, and that's a little bit of a worry for him. So he's been trying to stretch out. Take us into that. There was a picture there of him literally trying to stretch himself.
Right. Yeah, that was an inversion table.
Right.
And Bill had originally bought it for some back issues that Bill was having, and then Josh just used. I mean, it just shows the kid will stop at no lengths to try to make himself better in every way. And what we thought was a little interesting is that he can get bigger, stronger, and faster, but the one thing that he can't control is his height. And so that was something that Josh worries a bit about. The inversion table was one thing that he tried. He didn't do it every day or every night, but occasionally he would get on that inversion table because he just refused not to try. I mean, he thought maybe it could make a difference.
Yeah, so when did this start? I know you covered him for about 15 months putting this piece together for NJ.com, but when did this start? There were pictures in there, and Josh has a brother who's not much different in age, who's also a high school athlete, and there were the pictures and the stories of them kind of carrying each other when they were young and building muscle at a very young age that, most little kids don't do anything like that. So did you have an idea of when maybe Bill, his uncle, and or Josh started thinking that athletics and serious dive in athletics was going to be the path they took?
Yeah, it was kind of gradual. Josh said he even tried the guitar when he was young originally, when he first came to live with Bill when he was 5. But I think really early on, he had this natural athletic ability. They talked about in flag football how he would just run circles around everybody. And I think at that point they realized athletics might be the way to go because he did have this natural athletic ability, and so they just tried to harness it after that.
How about his brother? Now, his brother's in Wall Township, I believe that's where the family's from. He's in high school there locally?
Yes. His brother's a rising junior at Wall Township High School. Really, really good wrestler. He's also playing football as well. This past year as a sophomore, he was 6th at the New Jersey State Championships, the wrestling championships, which is really, really good for a sophomore. Right. And people are already talking that there's a good chance that he'll be a state champion contender this year in wrestling. So Josh and him have kind of a unique relationship. Josh is a little louder than Matt. Matt is kind of quiet, and Josh kind of, he picks on his older brother a little bit or likes to rib him the way, younger brothers do. But they definitely lean on each other, have a good support system.
So, after the 15 months, now Josh, at the end of the piece and the end of his school year, and the second time he went to 8th grade, I guess, he chose to go to Bergen Catholic, which is one of the powerhouse football schools here in New Jersey. So he's going to go to Bergen Catholic now. And so would you say this has worked for him? I mean, so far, so good in terms of his plan. And he's at Bergen Catholic, and I believe he's doing well so far in the practices.
Yeah, I think, there's been a lot of debate online and a lot in the comment sections, people talking about, what they're doing, but it's hard to argue against the results at this point just because of how well Josh is doing from an athletic standpoint. I think they had a scrimmage last week against Red Bank Catholic, and Josh was the star of the scrimmage, and it was almost it was kind of jaw-dropping for even us because he is still a true freshman or a freshman, and I don't know that we expected him to have that much of an impact so quick because Bergen Catholic, some people have them ranked as high as number 14 nationally.
Right, there are kids there that will play Division I football. It's not like your normal high school football program.
Exactly. Yeah, their starting quarterback is committed to Tennessee. He's one of the top prospects in the country. So that's really the elite level. Now, that wasn't an actual game, and Bergen has one of the hardest schedules in the country. So he's going to be put to the test right off the bat. They actually open on Saturday against a top-notch team. So
we'll see how he does. And we believe we have a question that just came in here from Periscope.
Yes, going back to him repeating the 8th grade, although he did for athletic purposes, a viewer wants to know if he is also a good student.
So the viewer wanted to know, just to repeat the question in case it didn't come in loud enough, the viewer wants to know, is he a good student as well as being a good athlete? Because he is a student athlete now, and he will continue to be at least for the next 7 or so years until maybe the professional ranks come calling.
Yeah, I have his report card was texted to me on my phone. Straight A student, 98 overall average, and an almost perfect behavior report. So yeah, he is a very good student. He's talked about wanting to be an entrepreneur of some sort. He's talked about maybe potentially going to Stanford at some point. He's interested in schools like that. And I would encourage our viewers or listeners to go into the stories and click on the videos of him because you can hear him talk. And I don't think that he would be able to hide the fact that, he's a humble kid, he's a smart kid, he's very well spoken, and you can see that in the videos that we have.
Yeah, well, you can. You can check them out on NJ.com right now. The one question that kept coming up over and over again in our comment section when the piece first dropped yesterday, and I thought of it right away, the comparison to Todd Marinovich. He was a great athlete as a child, and he was, I guess for lack of a better term, really pushed into that direction by his father. He went to USC, started to be a quarterback. He was a star quarterback there, then drafted by the Raiders, flamed out, and he went down a totally different path away from football. He just got tired of it all. So that's the comparisons being made, and wondering, is this going to happen to Josh McKenzie? And you probably can't answer if it's going to, because we don't know or not, but do you get any sense of that if he ever gets tired of this? I mean, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids with all that going on, you would think maybe one day it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, anything in this world is possible, and I think it's almost impossible not to hear Josh's story or read about it and not think of Todd Marinovich. But I think, kind of in defense of them, I mean, that's on the one extreme end of the situation.
Totally
and there's other athletes that at a young age have had really regimented lifestyles. I think even like Serena Williams or Venus Williams, their father was heavily involved in their life, playing tennis all the time. Tiger Woods was like a child prodigy. I mean, I don't know that anyone detailed their lives and like the extra training they were doing behind the scenes, but I'm guessing it wasn't that much different. So I think that Todd Marinovich is on one end, but then there's also Serena Williams or Tiger Woods or LeBron James on the other end.
All those success stories in between.
Right. So time will tell, and I think a lot of people are excited to see what Josh does this year and down the line, because I mean he should be. Don't forget about wrestling. We talk a lot about football, but he's the #1 ranked wrestler, incoming freshman in the country, according to Intermat, which is a really big website. And some people have said he could win 4 state championships in wrestling, which would be, that's a very short list that have done that in New Jersey.
Yeah, he would be remembered in New Jersey high school athletics for a long time. So I guess to wrap up here, where do you think this goes now? The story, you did a great job on this, and we learned all about his life to this point and where he's going. But moving forward, I mean, do you think we're going to, barring something changes, but you think he's going to be one of the best high school athletes in this state for the next 4 years or so? Seems like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say, but from what I've read so far, some other newspapers have already been writing about him. He's gotten a lot of coverage from places outside of NJ.com and the Star-Ledger, and people are projecting him to go in that direction. People are comparing him to some of the greats that have ever played at Bergen Catholic, which you have, Brian Cushing.
Right.
You have a ton of really great athletes. So that's where people are seeing him go, and he's already penciled in to start as safety at Bergen Catholic this year, and then he could potentially see a lot of time at running back on the offensive side. So that's kind of the direction it seems like he's headed.
Yeah, well, we will be watching, and we'll certainly be reading. Check it out, NJ.com. Our piece on Josh McKenzie will be in the Star-Ledger tomorrow. Matt, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more about Josh McKenzie as these years go on. Thanks, everyone.